Looking at the right place.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Real Life Podcast. I'm Elizabeth Hamilton-Guarino, here with Dr. Katie Eastman. How are you, Dr. Katie?
I'm just fine. Thank you very much. Happy to be back here and doing another podcast with you.
Yeah, we haven't done a podcast for a really long time. We have been writing a book.
Yes, that's right. We have been writing and editing and editing and writing and editing.
And then some more writing and editing and marketing and pre-order and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's been really busy. We have a new book coming out, everybody, called The Peace Guidebook. And that comes out April 21st to 2026. And so we're really excited about that. So it is available wherever books are sold in pre-order mode. And so, but yeah, that's that. And let's talk about let's go birthday first. We'll catch up a little bit because you've got it. So we each have necklaces on that we've given each other. So mine says percolate peace, and then Dr. Katie's birthday, she loves butterflies. So there's your butterfly necklace. You got to hold that up. That's beautiful.
It really is. And it's perfect with this blouse. I'm very grateful to Elizabeth for sending it. It was a bright, shiny star on my birthday.
Yeah, and this too. This is my birthday. And this birthday or Christmas? I can't remember birthday because this is birthday, I think, last year. So it's percolate peace, my percolate peace heart. So it's right here next to me. So anyway, so what do we want to catch up on? We're talking about. So this is a real life podcast, and we're going to keep this super real. And we wanted to talk to you about change and sort of what's going on in our lives, and like little disruptions maybe to our peace. What has happened that you wish maybe that you could change? There's a lot of stuff going on. Do you want to start?
Oh, sure. Good before beauty. What can I say? Yes, we wanted to have this segment always be about change challenges because everybody has change and everybody is challenged with change at times. And my change is that I was playing pickleball and so excited to be out there and learning how to play and having a blast and channeling my inner 20-year-old and fell and broke my hip. So I had a reality check. I am, in fact, 65, not in shape like I was when I was 20. And I'm sitting here with a broken hip, and I am learning a lot from this whole experience. And what we want to do is we want to share with you how we learned and grew from change and from the challenge of change. And so you can learn also when something happens to you. So for me, this threw me into a reality check of, oh, wow, I probably wasn't in the shape that I thought I was. And I probably wasn't as strong as I thought I was. And, oh, did I follow through with that training I was supposed to do? And did I follow every dot and cross every T before I got out on that pickleball court? Yeah, probably not. So now my life lesson from this is follow your dots and cross your T's. And when your professionals tell you to do certain exercises and don't use a cane before you are ready, which of course I did. And all of those things that we tend to jumpstart when we want something to be different than it is. And we want things to be fixed and resolved before it really is. So that was my lesson as I learned that, you know what? Sometimes things aren't going to be finished before they're finished. And sometimes you're not as well as you think you are. And sometimes you really do need to listen to professionals and not second guess them and try things you're not ready for. So my learning has been a reality check. And it's been a good one. It's been a good one. And I'm glad that I have great PT and good people in my corner and I will follow their instructions.
Yes, I kept getting messages from Katie on her drive from Monterey back to Seattle area. We're still married. We're still married. We're still married.
Well, yeah, my poor husband had to drive me home because I wasn't able to fly and after my surgery. And so that was a very long drive and 4.5 days. And we had to stop every hour and a half to exercise so that I could move my legs. But yes, he was a gem. He had his moments. I had my moments, but we made it.
Still married.
And yeah, and we're still married for sure.
I had one of those where I almost texted you. We're still married. We had lawn furniture arrive in 3 boxes. You saved money if you didn't have them put it together ahead of time. And so it arrived in 3 boxes, and we were opening it up, and it's like every part's labeled with a letter. And then there's this pack about this big of like screws and washers and like a little tool about this big to put it all together with. And we put one of them together backwards first. And then, right? like a bad bookshelf that you get somewhere in college or whatever. It just put it together backwards. I'm like, oh, that's not right. There's things that aren't lining up. So took that apart, put it back together the right way. And by the end of Saturday, we had 2 pieces of the 7 put together. Stopped yesterday. He put together the table, and then today we didn't do any of it. But I'm like, Katie, we're still married.
We all have our moments.
Oh goodness, yeah. But one of the things that we you and I joke around about is just like life's little things. I'm not sure. I can't remember if we want to swear on this show or not swear on this show.
I think we decided we'd be a little more professional and
Yeah,
try to hold it back, but
yeah.
people
So
know what we're thinking.
yeah, we're like, yeah. There's a little bit of crap. We'll use that word anyway. And I literally had, so we go away for the winter, and we lived in South Carolina in the winter. We came back to our whole entire septic needing to be replaced, and which was just its own whole blank show of its own, right? And yeah, yeah. And so that was a little bit of an expected / unexpected expense. There have been crews here for a while, fixing the backyard, fixing the rock wall, there were trees in the septic, and it just went on the list of things that were wrong. So we've been kind of dealing with that, and yep, we're still married. But I just think it's so important because we have these things that just completely disrupt our peace, and we talk about some of the things that we go through, and I'm not sure everybody shares everything in their life that's going on, that's challenging or disturbing or whatever. Sometimes it seems like our social media feeds are what's right, and we're hiding a lot of the behind the scenes, like my hair on top of my head with no makeup on, with whatever, and there's way more real life. I think it's important to just reach our viewers and listeners.
Oh, yes. That's why we called it this.
Yeah.
Because real life has its challenges.
Yeah. And I just don't think everything's going to be completely peaceful all the time. So I think what you and I have been saying is it's so important to like practice peace, know how to access peace, know things that bring you peace, and just have them on standby for these moments. Because I was really proud of you going through everything that you went through with your hip surgery and the attitude that you maintained. And in our new book, we talk about the difference between happy and joy, which I don't think hip surgery falls into either of those categories. However, I think that you maintained an attitude that had, yeah, there were challenges, but there was, you kept your wit and sense of humor about you, which I think is one of the things too that's a tremendously healing thing that you can do as well, if you don't let it completely side rail you or derail you or whatever the word is for that. But so I thought you did a really good job bringing yourself back to peace when everything wasn't. I don't know how many screws you have in your hip. You've got a lot of screws in your hip now.
My physician asked me the question. She goes, "Are you depressed?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, you're lying on your back and you've got a broken hip, and aren't you discouraged?" I'm like, "No, people have a lot worse than this, and I'm going to recover from this, and I get to watch podcasts that are uplifting and teach me stuff, and I still get to work because I'm a therapist and I can work online. And I just feel really grateful that I had great medical care. So I think another part of peace is gratitude
Yeah.
when something happens. I mean, when your septic tank blows up and
Oh yeah.
you're grateful that you have the people that can fix it.
Yeah.
I was
Gratitude's
grateful
huge.
for the medical team that I had and my wonderful husband who drove me all the way back. It's a choice how we deal with our change challenges. It
Yeah,
really is.
I think our whole neighborhood is grateful for Bruce. He's a guy with an excavator and knowledge of
Hmm.
how to do things and put
Hmm.
things back together and fix things and everything. And every one of our houses in our neighborhood has needed him over the past 3 or 4 years, and so we're
Hmm.
really super grateful. But yeah, and it's interesting too because sometimes things end up better than before, and our yard looks so much better with this
Hmm.
change. We have the grass is back to green, and the yards just put back together really well. And so we have the gazebo back working again, and just things that are just lovely that
Hmm.
weren't quite so great before because of the septic system failing over the years. So it was. I'm glad we finally fixed that. And then as soon as we fixed that, everything was fine and all that good stuff. We had a good old fashioned Midwestern hailstorm here in Maine, which I have never seen in 22 years of living here. It literally rained like golf ball size hail all over everything. So
Hmm.
the septic is fine, but the gazebo roof didn't survive. Our own roof didn't survive. We've got a leak up in Connor's room and all sorts of stuff. So you take your piece day by day, moment by moment sometimes.
You
And
do. The unexpected happens.
yeah, and you really have to, go all here with it and just, I'm thankful I have a house. I'm thankful, all the things that you're grateful for, despite a little bit of a setback there and there. So, but yeah, so this has been the year of house.
Mm.
So,
Yep. Yep.
hopefully
And
it
this
tickles
is,
down a little bit, and you've got the year of hip. So
I've
it's hip
got the year of
season.
hip.
Yeah,
Yep.
we
I've
went
got the
through
year.
that with Peter like 15 years ago. He had both hips replaced at
Oh,
the
wow.
same time. Yep, he was in pain, and so we went to the doctor, and he had X-rays, and the doctor came in with the X-rays and said, "Well, Peter, when do you want to schedule your double hip replacement surgery?" And I thought he was going to like pass out from the news. We were both like, "What?" And so he became the 10th person in the state of Maine to have both hips replaced at the same time,
Wow.
which is trippy because I think the one thing with his hips anyway, because they didn't go through muscle with the surgery and stuff, they put you're back up and they want you up and moving and things like that. Maybe in your case, you had to heal a little bit more because it was a
Yeah.
fracture. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is not really like up. But I mean, they got him up out of bed with drains, and I mean, you're up, let's go, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
he had that walker. He took that walker
Hmm.
onto the baseball field.
Yeah. I took
Yeah,
it to an outdoor concert the other day.
yeah.
That was pretty fun and walking across the grass with it. And um yeah, you learn. You do, and thankfully you've got those things.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. I curse it sometimes, but at the same time I'm grateful for it. I mean, when it knocks into
Steady.
stuff, and my cats hate it, but I
You, you need like a cat hammock or something.
yeah.
So would that be funny? Okay, let me see what else we were going to talk about today because we were going to talk about. Um, Let me just look at my phone for a second. We were going to talk about like what we learned. Like so what did you learn from all of this?
Well, I've learned even more. I learned more that I need to listen to professionals, but I've also learned that when peace disrupts, um, the very first thing that I need to do is what we talk about in the guidebook. We talk about I need to stop and take a peaceful pause. And a peaceful pause allows your nervous system to resettle, for your brain to be able to think better, and then make choices around how you're going to behave. And I've had a few really startling experiences in the middle of the night where I've been woken up and I have to think clearly, quickly, because it's been an emergency. And one is a very funny story. On the way home from California, somebody started banging on our door of our hotel, and we're in the, on the Oregon coast in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden this guy starts screaming and saying, telling us we need to, get out there, and he'd pay his whatever. And he's swearing and he's screaming and he's belligerent. And so my husband can't hear. He's got a hearing aid, so he's fast asleep, doesn't hear a thing. I'm terrified, so I text the landlord, no answer. Then I call the police, and the police say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have 24-hour coverage here, but if it becomes life threatening, call me back."
Somebody on our
So I'm
hotel
like,
room door.
okay, this really feels safe. So I decide better wake up the husband. And so then he starts hearing it. So he can't hear and I can't walk. So he takes the walker and he bangs it up against the door to, protect us. But we're both trying to whisper so the guy doesn't hear that we're in there. And then John is like screaming because he's got this hearing problem. And so I'm going, shh. Oh, it was just calamity all over the place. Thankfully, the guy left, and the landlord was very sweet the next day and said, "Oh, gee," and we explained, "Oh, yeah, that used to be a place where some not so nice things used to take place there." And so we were like, "Oh, okay, that's what he was doing there." And we're out of here. But the unexpected comes in the middle of the night sometimes, and you have to take that peaceful pause and just go, "Okay, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
And what do I do?"
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It we've had those moments too, of, just over the course of our lifetimes with kids and things like that. Just with four, I keep calling them boys. Four
Yeah.
sons, four adult sons now. But the
Yeah.
oldest one is 30, the youngest one is 24. But we have our fair share of things with them. And like last night in Rochester, our son Quade and his girlfriend Maggie, they live together up there in Rochester. Their power was out all day, and they had just gone grocery shopping and spent, for kids, young adults, they spent money on groceries. Brought them home, and the power went out for 8 hours, 9 hours, and so they were all
Mm.
worried with their groceries and all the stuff. So their peace was rocked there
Mm-hmm.
yesterday, thinking they had done this marvelous thing of joining Costco and getting like 90 eggs at a discount or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
They were all proud of themselves, and then the power went out. And so that was their challenge yesterday. But it becomes our challenge. Like, what should you do? I'm like, well, ice and
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
little freezer things you get at Walmart, or take the food over to Maggie's parents' house or whatever, because they thought the power was only going to be out for a little while, and it ended up being out for like 8-9 hours. So
Mm-hmm.
don't open the refrigerator; your food's going to be fine. But so
Right. Here's.
but I was proud of him because their peace was disrupted,
Mm-hmm.
and they were mellow about it. They
Yep.
problem
Yep.
solved. So that's
Right.
kind of a nice thing. You wrote a blog. I think we put it on Best Ever You about like hysterical, becoming drama, becoming emotional, becoming all these things. And I liked what you said when you're like, stop telling people not to be that way. Because most of
Right.
the time when
Right.
somebody's that way around you, you're like, stop. Shh. You're trying to bring them to some sense of peace that you might have, but it's not
Right.
calming them down internally. So I really like that post. I want to talk about
Well,
that.
I would like to make an appeal to all, especially to women.
Yeah,
Please do not ever allow anyone to say to you, "You're overly sensitive."
right.
Let's get that out of our vocabulary, because there is no such thing as being overly sensitive. And it's such a pejorative phrase, and it's especially been used as a weapon towards women.
Especially in the
And
workplace.
in workplaces, in the home, and it's so not true. There is
Yeah,
absolutely no such thing as being overly sensitive.
yeah,
Now, if you're reactive, yes, it's because you're upset and you need to chill. Well, yeah, but you need time to chill. You need time to feel the emotions that are telling you what you're upset about. Then you can take the peaceful pause and figure out what to do about it. But please don't be saying that, and definitely don't be saying that in front of me.
You lost your smile for a minute. I'm like, yep, she's serious. People don't say that around her. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I've
it
heard
came my way when
so
you wrote
many.
it, and I'm like, that's a good one because it's because as women we get that you almost get that trained out of you because
Hmm.
you're told that you shouldn't behave that way in
Right.
this situation or another. And so you're wondering what to do with your emotions when you have them. You can't show them. It's like, okay,
Right.
so you can't show any emotion here. All right, and then that's not healthy at
No,
all.
it's not. And there's no such thing as a negative emotion. Emotions are there for a reason. They help us, they're messengers. They teach us what's valuable and important to us. And if we shut them down and we try to minimize them, then we lose a whole part of ourselves. And so, yeah, get rid of the word drama, get rid of the word overly sensitive, all that pejorative junk. Just get rid of it. Take it out of your vocabulary when it comes to describing someone who's being emotional, and
Now,
allow them to be who they are.
yeah. Let's talk about anxiety for a minute. I know you don't love that word exactly because it needs to be in a clinical sense because people throw the word anxiety around. They throw anxiety and trauma around a lot in a wrong sense. That and the word narcissist too. I hear you say that a lot.
Okay.
Like trauma, anxiety, and narcissist. Use them right. So we'll do a show on that at a different moment. But I want to talk about the anxiety that or the unsettled feeling that
Mhm.
goes with when you have your yard torn up or when it hails or when you have a hip issue or when you're driving and you don't know where you are and you have to take a different route or all of these things when you're doing something or something happens to you that rocks your routine, rocks your
Mhm.
norm, leaves you on new territory, new ground, newfound navigating, whatever it is. um, Describe that feeling, and is it okay?
Well, what immediately happens is your blood pressure changes, your heart rate changes, your body, your nervous system changes, and it sends you an alert that says, something's
Ah,
scary. And what you do with that in that moment is really important because you can get reactive and stay reactive. You can scream and yell and run around and remain that way, and your heart rate's just going to go higher and higher
me
and
too,
higher.
right? Yeah.
And you're, yes, and you're going to not be able to think as clearly, or you can express the emotion and then calm down. So you allow yourself to say, wow, I'm really scared. This is really scary. What do I need to do? I mean, when that guy was pounding on the door, there's no way I was going to say, well, I'm not scared. No,
Yeah.
I was terrified. But I had to calm my nervous system down to be able to think straight of, well, I got to do something about this. So the guy's going to break into my room any minute. So when you think about fight, flight, or freeze, that's what it's there for. It's there to give us the opportunity to decide, is this something worthy of being afraid of? People go right into anxiety when they don't rationally think through, well, is this worthy of my fear?
Yeah.
Or is this just something that I'm allowing to make me more afraid? So the peaceful pause allows you to ask the question, well, yeah, this guy could break in any minute. Yeah, that's kind of worthy of terror.
Yeah.
There's a rational reason for me to
Qualifies.
be terrified right now, rather than when you imagine something happening but you don't have any proof of it happening. When you, oh, I could get killed on I-5 tomorrow. I-5
Knock on
being the
wood.
highway
When that
right
happens.
here in
Yeah.
Seattle. And yes, you could, but what are the chances? So it's really about anxiety is when we're not able to move from fear to a rational understanding of the reality of how likely it is to happen or not.
Sometimes
We,
it feels to me that people get caught up in the future and the what ifs and so forth, and they kind of almost lose sight of the present
yeah.
moment a little bit too. You get caught up in all the well, all the things that could happen, and you just are so it's fear and things like that, but you're worried more about the future and things that you can't maybe control even. But like
Right.
in our case, I'm going to go back to the S show of the septic tank for a second and just talk about, the money worry.
Mm.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that's like super relatable for people because when you replace a septic, it's a lot of money, and it took us a couple of years to kind of pull the trigger finally to replace the septic. It's like this is not pleasant. It's
Mm-hmm.
a chunk of money. It's not an insurance thing or anything like that. It's a full on home repair, and I think about how stressful what that was to finally get that fixed and get gathering the money and things like that. And I think about people that maybe don't have that wherewithal and have
Mm-hmm.
problems that aren't going to be fixed and things like that. So I tend to just always think about other people and so forth.
Mm.
And I just want to I almost want to have you say a few words to those folks because you've when you've got issues and things like that that you're not able to fix, that can
Right.
be very discouraging and kind of sets you on a pace where your piece is just rocked.
Exactly.
You're just
And the what ifs when you catastrophize
yeah,
and you think, oh, and I always talk about it like um going down the rabbit hole, a snowball effect.
yeah,
Okay. So if something happens and it's frightening or it's a change that happens that you didn't expect,
right.
and your brain starts to go, oh no, this could happen, and then this could happen, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. Well, that's what the snowball effect toward anxiety. But if you stop and you take the pause and you say, okay, here's what might happen. Is that a rational thought? Is that a true possibility? Am I going to lose my house? And can I, how rational is that?
Right.
Because that could be a catastrophizing comment or it could be real. Well, if it's real, then what do you do? What do you do, people, when you have a change challenge and you don't know what to do? You get help
Well, yeah,
and you
or like
gather information.
information. That's what I was just about to add. Like we
Yep.
fact gathered because we were like, okay, we've been in this house for 20 years. Is now the moment to put it up for sale and let somebody else worry about the septic and not us? Are we staying here? Are we moving? Are we moving near one of the kids? I mean, all of those things that go into play for a 56-year-old, and 60-some-year-old human come into play with four grown kids. We're like, okay, are we living here or should we let
Right.
it be somebody else, pass it on to somebody else and let them fix the septic and discount the price of the house? And there were all these things which caused its own emotional turmoil of like, oh my God, I might have to move, and I'm like, oh, oh no, there it
Right.
is, a layer of
Right.
stress on a layer of stress. And
Right.
it's like just it sometimes seems like it like piles on and you have to like clear
Right.
to get some
And I
clarity.
think that one of the major mistakes people make is they don't get the information before they start to worry.
That's what we
Instead
did.
of,
I'm like, oh
yeah, I
no.
think everybody does it.
I was
Everybody
down
does
in
it.
South Carolina worried about the septic, having Quinn say, it smells like septic in the backyard, something's wrong, kind of thing. And what we did to get by is we emptied the septic like for 4 months until we were ready to fix it. We emptied it every month so it would just be fine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is not, that's expensive and not recommended,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, but it bridged the gap between, there and fixing. But I remembered having, Peace Rock down in South Carolina worrying about the septic and, Quinn here going, what's going to happen? You just don't want that stuff backing up into your house. Right.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
no, don't. So that didn't
Right.
happen.
Right.
But, I just remember having discussions with Peter going, is this the moment where we're not going to live here anymore? Because it's so expensive
Mm-hmm.
to fix. What are we doing here? So
Mm-hmm.
we wound
Yeah.
up fixing it. And I'm really glad we did because last night we were in the gazebo and he's like, this is just our forever home. And it made me cry. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad
Mm-hmm.
we did all this. And
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. And we're really grateful for Bruce because we got a little bit of a friends and family discount.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. We're so quick to think the worst.
Right. And
And in reality, if we give it time off, I mean, as a therapist, one of the things we used to do in crisis management is give them time, give them time, give them time, because oftentimes people will feel like something's a crisis until they have time to calm down and think it through. And then they go, oh, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, I
And
think that's one of the things that I've had to learn as I've gotten older is like not everything that rocks your piece is a crisis, and to really
absolutely.
get perspective on what's what. Because
Hmm.
and it's interesting though, because when I was in my 20s, a flat tire would have classified as a crisis due to lack of money and
Hmm.
lack of good
Hmm.
car and lack of
Hmm.
everything. Because I mean, I had to
Hmm.
like climb over the steering stick shift to roll down the window to get out of my car in that car, that's
Hmm.
20s, which is fun. But that's a crisis, but now that might not be a crisis, but it's I think our crisis levels are all different depending who we are, what we're doing,
Right.
and so forth. And that's why it's important, going back to that blog you wrote, to not shame people for feeling their crisis.
Right.
Just because it's not your crisis or you can't relate or whatever it is, it
Right.
doesn't mean that you should be or we should be, you know, not empathizing and
Right.
sympathizing and aware,
Right.
and
Because
apply your favorite word, compassion.
right, because that emotional discharge in the initial moments after something happens, that's your information right
Yeah,
there. What am I most scared of? What am I most afraid of? Okay, well, that's what I have to figure out. That's where I need to put my energy. And I need to get information. I need to get possibly resources. I need to get support. I need to but don't forget that pause because it's that pause that helps you problem solve.
yeah. I really
But
like that question too that you just said. Like, what are you most afraid of, or what's the worst thing that can happen? That would have been actually, we're life coach and therapist and all these things, but sometimes when we have our own problems, it doesn't quite come that clearly. You're
right,
like, that would have been a really good question. And you're like, okay, how can, because my initial response is like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to move. I'm gonna have to move. I'm so terrified. I'm gonna have to move. And I'm like, and then I was like, calm down. If you do have to move, it's not the end of the world. You know, chill.
and you didn't know that yet. And
No.
that's the thing. Oftentimes we react to something that may never happen.
Yeah.
And I think that that's when we go to from worry to anxiety.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're not rational. We're not allowing our brain to decide whether something's a rational reason to be afraid.
How were you when you like, I know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. How were you when you broke your hip? Did you go to
No,
the world, the sky is falling, or were you
no,
just
not at
calm and
all. No,
peaceful the whole time? Or were you
I
driving
made
and you're like,
jokes.
woo?
I made jokes the whole time.
Did you? Yeah.
I said funny things like, oh, what stays on the pickleball, what happens on the pickleball court stays on the pickleball court. I said, I've made jokes about the fact that so many people in the emergency room, they said, oh God, we have so many pickleball
All of
accidents. It's like the number one sport injury now. And so, no, I used my humor. I did cry when I was about to get in the ambulance because it brought up last year when I had a pulmonary embolism and I almost died. And so I asked, but this was really good. And I was really proud of myself. I asked the ambulance guy to sit with me,
Oh,
and
that's good.
last time they didn't. Last time they were behind me, but I asked him to sit, and he did, and he calmed me down. And they even gave me a sedative halfway down the mountain. But it was a different experience. I knew what to ask for, I knew what I needed, and I stayed calm and I used my humor and I was well cared for. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But I also was demanding of being well cared for this time and knew what I needed. So I think we learn from our experiences what we need. And number one is always, 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 always asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, I want to. I'm going to just bring this in, and then we'll wind up because I know we're going a little bit over. But you and I have each lost a lot of weight the past
Mm-hmm.
year, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is. Um, and I mean, you look fabulous, by the way, and
Oh,
and
thank you.
feel
So do you.
fabulous. Yeah, thank you. I'm working on it, but how much weight have you lost, if you don't mind sharing? Because this is real life, and I think,
7, yeah,
yeah,
70 pounds.
amazing. And
But
so, of
I
course,
want to also say I didn't lose it in a year. I lost it in 3 years.
yeah, it was a little bit more, yeah. But it feels like
Yeah.
this year you kind of got you back where you were like, I'm going to play pickleball, or I'm going to get I saw you on
Yeah.
your bike
Yep.
riding and things like that.
Yep.
You were doing some of the things that you used to do.
Mm.
Okay, so now you have a change. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit because this is what happens to people. And I know
It
it's
is.
happened to you a little bit. It makes you feel like not getting back on the pickleball court, doesn't it? It's like when I had a gymnastics injury and I got
Yeah.
afraid of the beam. I'm like, oh no, I'm afraid of the beam now. And then you
Yeah.
have to get over it and stuff. But um, what will you do? Will you become a pickleball champion again?
No. And
Yeah,
not for the reasons that I'm afraid. It's a rational decision. Um, as you get older, your bones get more brittle. But
yeah,
I am also on blood thinners because of my pulmonary embolism. And when you fall and you're on a blood thinner, you run more risk. I have a heart condition and I'm not in great shape. I'm thinner, but thinner doesn't mean stronger.
right.
So no, I had a great run with activities where I could fall off, horseback riding, skiing, skating, all kinds of things where I could fall on hard places. No thanks. I don't want to take the risk. I really have been, it's kind of a bummer, to recover, and I don't want to have to
Right.
go through that again. So no
I got
thanks.
I got a few years ago, five now actually. I got out of the car from going to the movies with my girlfriend and slipped on black ice and like
Hmm.
filled my hip. And then about 2 weeks later, Peter fell picking up the neighbor's garbage.
Hmm.
Fell on the ice and hurt his shoulder. And we were sitting there with my hip and his shoulder hurt, going,
Hmm.
okay, winter is done for us, kind of thing. But it made me think, I don't think I will ever ice skate again, ski again, things like that. Because that fall really, I think if I fell doing that, I would break something for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
if I hadn't had such a great time doing it for so many years and I felt like I had to do it again, but I don't.
yeah,
I'm happy doing line dancing and dancing at the outdoor
I think
concerts and
mostly not going to fall.
walking, and yeah, and it's different for everybody, but I have the kind of personality that is pickleball dangerous,
You and me
because
both, right?
I'm a triple A. I love. I mean, I get out there and I just am energized and I'm ready
Win.
to go, and I lose all rational thinking. And I that's how I fell. I went after a ball that I never should have gone after. So I don't have the personality for it.
She runs marathons. I don't.
I can't just think of, yeah. No, I run when I start running, I run a marathon, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's the way I am too. I've got that personality, a competitive gymnast
Yep.
forever and ever and ever. So yeah, but I think,
Towards myself. Towards
no, yeah,
myself.
no, no, not towards other people. I'm just
Yeah.
competitive for
Right.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm not going to knock you down in your path or anything like that. Everybody's all safe. But I think what you and I do love is swimming. And I hope we get
Yes.
back to swimming because we both share that in common. And it was really fun to be down in South Carolina and take water aerobics every day. And
Yeah.
it was interesting too because I was the youngest in the pool by a bit, which makes you
Uh-huh.
go, do I belong here or not? And then I'm like, I totally am going to have fun with this. And I marveled at people getting in the pool. People would wheel into the pool and
Yep.
get up, and
Yep.
I mean, the tenacity involved. I was so
Hmm.
impressed with all these people. And then everybody would say to me, I've been doing this for 30 years. This is
Hmm.
why I'm in here, is because I've been swimming and doing water aerobics for this long. Keeps you
Right.
alive, keeps your joints moving, keeps you going, and all these
Yep.
things. I'm like, okay. So they were
Yep.
happy that they could pass on some wisdom. It was really cute.
Oh,
So
I'll be back in the pool as soon as I can.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and many of them are way better at water aerobics than I am.
Mm.
So I'm like kicking my ass with water
Right.
aerobics. It was cute.
Well,
Yeah.
when I ran the marathon, I was 50,
Yeah.
and this 80-year-old man passed me
Right.
in the
Yeah.
last mile. And I was like, oh man. But he runs like 5 marathons a month. He's in impeccable shape. But that's not me right now. I will get into better shape now that I've done this, but no, I have no desire to get in anywhere near a hard surface.
Yeah, no, but that, I mean, that started the weight loss process for me and getting in better shape, that water aerobics class. So that was good. And it's carried over here, and I've been walking and walking the dogs and swimming and just being really mellow about it, and
Hmm.
food, way less food and things like that. So I feel a lot better. So that was a really good change. Um,
Hmm.
it's a little disruptive to my peace because, I do want a whole bowl of ice cream and a pizza every once in a while, but it's like, just stop.
Well, it does change your lifestyle,
Oh yeah.
and you have to think differently about yourself. But the biggest trap is just because you're thinner doesn't mean you're fitter.
Yeah, I agree.
And
All
that
right. Is there
was,
anything else we should
yep.
talk about before we go? I think we covered
No, I
everything.
think really the peace point that we focused on today is when change happens, is that peaceful pause, is, let yourself emote, but then have that peaceful pause before you start problem solving and ask yourself that rational question, is there anything I can do about this? If there is, what is it?
Yeah, I love it. All right. So we have a new website. In addition to besteveryou.com, we have percolatepeace.com now. And it is being programmed as we speak. So you can go to percolatepeace.com and pass your piece on. You can type right in what makes you peaceful or what you did for somebody else, like a random act of kindness. But you can type right into the fields and type a message of peace and hope right on our website. So that'll be on the homepage of the website, I think, today or tomorrow. I know our website person, Spencer, is kind of working on that for us the past few days. And but it's what else about Percolate Peace? That we've got blogs up there. I'm trying to think of everything that's on there. It's
Well, I
it's
think,
it's in development. It's not
right.
perfectly done just yet, but it's developed and it's up and being developed.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
just to remind people, we're trying to get 1 million people to
Oh,
commit to percolating peace every day because that's what it's going to take. If we want a peaceful planet, it starts with us looking inside of ourselves and then learning what triggers our unpeaceful moments so that we can learn peaceful points and then pass it on to others.
love it. All right. All right, everybody. So percolatepeace.com, that you can pre-order our book, the Peace Guidebook, which we love that.
Hmm.
I'm so proud of all the people that are like, they're doing. I love what you said, Katie's like, we need peace circles, and like, we sure do, Katie. Katie comes up with some cool ideas, and so we have little peace circles starting, and they're groups of people that have pre-ordered the book, and they're having meetings and doing things. I know of one so far. There's a group of women that's meeting, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And
It
so
is cool.
yeah, it's
It is. And that's
really
how
cool.
we're going to get to peace, people. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Is circle together and become empathic, compassionate, and make that your middle name.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you as always.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.